Good Monday morning. You know I love a Monday, guys, so I have got a great topic for us today. I get asked all the time, or people will comment, oh, everything y'all do works out so well. Everything you do just turns to gold. I heard it again this last week, and I started thinking, I remember hearing that literally almost 30 years ago, because I was in Amarillo at the time. And I was thinking, is that even true? And why do people have that perception that everything that I touch turns to gold? Well, people that are really hardworking like I am and entrepreneurial, I don't think we give ourselves time to think about such things as that, which is one of the reasons I love doing the drive, because it makes me be a little more introspective, because entrepreneurs typically just go. We hop out there and get things knocking out. We don't sit back and go, why did that work? Why did I do that? And I'm not saying that's a good thing. I think you need to have some introspection, so let's see if we can crank up the self-magnifying glass today. I would say there are two big factors, and I'm going to start with the first one. Number one is I would say that I work harder than 90% of the people you know. Now, so what a lot of you guys see out there these days is you see my fun side, and we're going to Oktoberfest, and we're dressing up, and we're doing things that absolutely are fun, but they're still work. Because we're doing it to promote our community. We're filming. We're on a schedule. You know, we're not just doing our thing like it may appear. And this is always after we've done a full day of crushing some real estate, reviewing contracts, working with our team, doing some training, taking new listings. So there's always been a full day before we get around to what it takes to put on the it's not a front, it's all true. We're having an amazing time, but at the same time, you do get a little tired. I think about, have you guys ever been in one of these symposiums where every time a lady comes up and a woman with a lot of success, they love to play that song, "This girl is on fire." Wes and I kind of joked about it. He goes, oh, it's going to be somebody's going to be singing the "This Girl is on Fire" song. If a girl's going up there, a woman. Just the other day, I was in the shower thinking, man, I want to change the words of that song sometimes to, "This girl is so tired. This girl is so tired." Kind of basically, that's the truth. So bottom line is, I feel like I work harder than 90% of the people that I know, 95%. I think all successful entrepreneurs, this is not just about me. This is about anyone in your life that you know who's had some success. They work harder than almost anyone you know. To give you a little of my background, I've had a lot of interesting perceptions. People, I live in a small town here, so people have always got something to say. And in the past, I heard my dad was a West Texas oil man. And so whatever we had or were building at that time was from him. My dad was a welder with a 6th grade education. If you watch the drive, you know that. Who could barely read or write, but who gave me an incredible work ethic. So no, there was no help from that direction. We were completely self-built, with a lot of great support from the family, but not monetarily like that. In high school, you got to understand, I was voted most studious. I was not a cheerleader. I tried every year. I tried so hard, and I never even got close. But I was most studious, nerdy, hardworking kid. I graduated high school as valedictorian. I finished a year early at 17. Then I went to college at Abilene Christian University, and I graduated a year early from college as well, with a 3.87 summa cum laude, studying government with university honors. At that time, I was barely 20 years old. My mom says, you don't look old enough to get a job. I don't think anybody's going to hire you. So you better get some more schooling, because in East Texas, that's what we call it, get some more schooling. So I went and applied to the University of Texas School of Law, and by some amazing feat was able to get in. It's one of the most challenging, one of the most difficult law schools to get into, and it's a fantastic education. And the way I was looking at it was, the good thing is I'm already 2 years ahead. I've cut 2 years off. And so if I do a 3-year law school, it really cost me a year. So I hustled through that and got a job. And after 5 years of practicing law, said, I'm out of here. I'm going to go. I want to be an entrepreneur. I saw a great quote card this weekend from Lori Grenier. Y'all know her from Shark Tank? It said, entrepreneurs are people who will work 80 hours a week to avoid working 40 hours a week for someone else. That's the best description I've ever heard, because it's so true. Decided to go into business, and I remember saying, I have never worked more hours in my life. I've never worked so hard, and loved it, because I was doing what I wanted, when I wanted, for the most part. Now, there's grunt jobs we still got to get done, right? But that's the true definition of an entrepreneur, guys. Hardworking. So Decide, yeah, large unsweet tea, please.
Large unsweet tea?
Yeah.
Okay, 108.
Thank you. Okay. Oh, Coco's getting excited. Here she goes. So we decided to go into retail, and we came down to Fredericksburg, and boy, talk about work. I've never worked so hard, and I've never loved working as much as we did because we were building something for our family. Again, you got to understand, I'm never saying that it's better to be an entrepreneur or worse. I love Gary Vee's quote when he talks about, this is what it takes to succeed if you want it as much as I want it. And I love it when he says, oh, there goes Frank. I love it when he says, and by the way, I don't recommend that anyone want it the way I want it. But if it's in your heart and your soul, there's nothing you can do about it. So I worked more 14-hour days than I care to remember back when we were in retail. Because retail's tough, guys. There's times when, you're so dependent on the economy. Because what we learned in retail is when times get tough, and they inevitably do, people take home memories, not memorabilia. So retail gets hit first. So I decided for me that I preferred to focus on the lodging eventually, but not until we had spent almost a full 20 years. And at one point I had 16 stores. I had a lot of employees who would say, thank you. Employees would say to me, your car was here and I left last night, and your car is here again before I got here this morning. So if you want to be an entrepreneur or succeed in business because you want to be the big shot and work the least, you're in the wrong business. Because you're going to work the most. I can't tell you how many times my younger daughter Celia has laughed because people came in and said, oh, the toilet's not flushing well, and this is going on, that's going on. And she goes, you were handling all these important things, and you were the one that went and picked up the plunger and started plunging the toilet. I'm like, yeah, that's what it's called to be the leader. To be the leader, you got to be willing to do the jobs nobody else wants to do and work your face off for years. Yes, thank you. You too. And so that's what we did. So, and we did it for almost 20 years, and we didn't quit doing it until we replaced it with even more work in the real estate business. So you know how that went. I'm gonna let this fella here go. There she goes. Okay, so number one is I'm probably the hardest working person you know. So you might see a lot of fluff and happy and everything's good and all energy, and those things are all 100% true, but I work all the time. And yes, this is my baby kitty, and Frank's in the back with all the junk. Y'all know we're opening the B&B. It's a mess back there. Don't even look. So when we started Absolute Charm B&B reservation service, this is another story I tell a lot. To start that business, I knew we could do a better job taking B&B reservations because we were going to bring what the other services in town here didn't bring. Now, we had some good services here in town, some good competition, but they weren't doing real-time bookings. Who wants to send in, even in 2007 when this happened 11 years ago, who wants to send in a reservation request? No. If it's 2 a.m. and you're heading out the next day, you want an online booking, print that confirmation, get in the car. Am I right? So I knew good and well that we were going to crush it just for that one thing. I knew our photos could be better, our website could be better than other people's, and we could kill it on the real-time bookings. Now, a funny story about the photos is I talked to the best of the best of the best, because I'm a researcher, Jumping Rocks, the most incredible B&B photographers on the planet, great guys, and they said, Tammy, you're looking at about $12,000 just to do the 19 rooms that I owned at the time, and that doesn't count our travel expenses, and we've got a 1-year wait. I'm like, well, that's not going to work for me. They said, no, it's not. You need to go buy the best equipment, and you need to go start taking classes. You're going to have to do it yourself. So this is how I gained the photography skill. It's a skill I needed. And they said, my thing was, if someone changes the bedding on their bed and it makes the B&B look more beautiful, I can't wait for someone to come do that. I've got to be able to go right then. I've got to be able to go live. So even though it meant more work, adding to my skill set, that's what I did. I went to Texas School for Professional Photographers. I guess 6 different years. They have a week-long class you can go to, and learned everything I could, and a lot by trial and error, and got to be pretty good. Never developed a love for it. So as soon as I was able to give that to someone highly talented such as Jeremiah Derringer, I was very happy to do it. It is not my love. So yeah, it was time to open that business, and my friend Tammy Smith had agreed to leave her job. She had a master's in social work. She had agreed to come on over and help me run and start that business. But the problem was she was needing to give a good amount of notice, which was honorable, and I respected that. So what happened is I ended up, when we started Absolute Charm B&B reservations, I worked 75 days in a row. I still remember it, with no one to help me but at that time my 80-year-old mother and my 10-year-old daughter. Savannah. So that's who I had. And they were both great. Mom just kept the people happy as best she could. Anything computer-wise was not her wheelhouse for sure. But Savannah, at 10 years old, and I'm not exaggerating, she's born in 97, this was 2007, would start somebody taking a B&B reservation. She'd put them on hold, go over to the cash register, ring up a retail quilt customer, go find the shams in the back, come back and finish the reservation. I've never seen anything like it. So she really grew up in the business. So I worked 75 days in a row. Why? Was it because I was being cheap? Because I didn't want to hire employees? Because I had a control complex? No, it's pretty simple. I said, how am I going to train somebody to do a job that I don't know how to do? I don't know what questions guests ask yet. I don't know how well our website is working. I don't know anything to teach you how to do it, so I got to do it. So the buck always stops with you when you're the owner, when you're the entrepreneur. So make sure you're okay with that before you jump in. So 75 days, no days off. I do remember there being a Sunday afternoon in there when one of the quilt employees and my mom said they thought they could hold down the fort and let the phone ring if they had to, if I'd go home and take a nap. But that was it. And then I continued to work, obviously, very hard in the business for a long time after, but not one day off at all for 75 days just to get started. The number two thing I wanted to say is, number one, I work harder than almost anybody you know, despite what you probably think, because I always look happy and everything's great, which it is because I like to work. But number two is, when I turn it off, I turn it off. When I'm done, I'm done. People ask me, oh, I bet you stay up all night. How can you sleep? I said, I sleep great. I flip a switch, because if y'all know me, you know that my retail store, my women's clothing store at the end was named Scarlett, because after my favorite character, Scarlett O'Hara. And one of my favorite Scarlett lines is when she says, well, I simply can't think about that today. I just can't. I'll think about that tomorrow. And a million times I have said to myself, oh, I'll think about that tomorrow. Why? Is it procrastinating? No, it's because, number one, I can't solve all the world's problems at night when I need to be getting rest. If I'm not getting rest, I'm not going to be healthy, and I'm not going to have a good, clear mind to be able to help anybody with any problems. So I have a big I'll think about that tomorrow complex. Freaking it. I work really hard when I'm working, which is a lot of the time. But when I'm not, I don't mind watching Real Housewives and just giving myself time off and doing my thing. I have no problem shutting down and saying, if I don't do this, I will not be able to do the rest. I will not be able to help anyone. So, number one, I work harder than most people I know, as does every successful entrepreneur you know. And number two, you got to be able to put it down. You've got to be able to take time for yourself, shut it off, and say, look, I love the expression, work, don't worry. So if there's something you need to do to work, to accomplish something, get up and work, right? Go do what you got to do. If all you are physically able to do in the situation at that moment is worry, stop it. Flip the light switch off. If it's 3 a.m., is there really something you can do about it? If there is, get up and do it if you need to do it. Otherwise, stop it. Stop the worrying. You're just making yourself unproductive. Another thought I did have was, is it even true? Where do people get this? Is it true that everything we touch turns to gold? And no, I mean, I'm sure it's not. Tammy Smith and I had this conversation the other day. We were talking about risk, and I was like, I don't really see things as a risk. And she goes, I'm sure we've made mistakes. Surely we've bought the wrong outfits before, because we had a women's retail store, so you don't get it right all the time. So I remember buying like velvet. One year that was going to be really a trend, was velvet, and I thought, oh, this will be great. We'll buy these. And they did not. We were a couple years ahead on that one. It was California time. We were at the California market, and they didn't buy them. But what I find with most people is they dig their heels in. They dig their heels in and they think, oh, I've got to stay the course with this. And I said, cut it to half price. Okay, still not selling. Okay, so we're not getting our money back. Cut it to whatever they will pay. That's how you get over this, guys. My mom used to say, my almost 90-year-old mom always says, put your money in a better bank. So if we had to give it away for a fourth of what we paid, whatever it was, and I've seen so many entrepreneurs couldn't get over that. They're like, but you're losing money? You're losing money? I'm like, well, I'm losing money anyway. I can't make them buy it at the price I need to get my money back. But what I can do is get whatever out of it I can get, put it into something where I'm going to triple my money. And now guess what? I'm back at least a level. So that's what you got to do. And not everyone is cut out to do that. They're so frozen, paralysis analysis, where they have to sit there and think, I can't lose money on this. Well, you know what? If the people ain't buying it, you got to let it go. Put your money in a better bank. So that's truly the way we look at it. And last but not least, I always preach on here, guys, I have not arrived. No one has arrived. There's always something more and better we can be doing. So what I will tell you about that, what can I do to improve? Just because I've got a lot of good things going, working hard, it's never enough in my book. I can always do better. So what can I do to be better? I can schedule more. I am by nature a fly by the seat of your pants kind of girl. And Wes has finally stopped asking me. But when we first started dating and first got married, his favorite question was always, what's on the schedule for tomorrow? And I was like, well, I'm going to go in and see what needs to be done. But what can I do to do better? I can be even more intentional, because we know if it's not on the calendar, it doesn't exist. One reason I am having the success I'm having with the drive, as far as staying intentional and engaging my friends, is because it's something I committed to and I scheduled it. I said, you know what, I drive to work pretty much every day, so it's not going to take more time, and there's just no reason for me not to do it. And if I go out and commit to you guys that I'm going to do it, it makes it a lot easier to follow through. So those are the secrets to my success, to the extent I have it. I do not have near all the success I intend to have, so stay tuned and see what's going to be next. But we can all always improve, and I want you guys to hold me accountable to that. So have a wonderful Monday. Love a Monday, and see you guys tomorrow, Lord willing. Bye.